Raider Nation, what's going on? You guys are watching the Raiders Report. Coming up here on today's show, I'm going to get into the latest news and rumors around Odell Beckham Jr. I'm going to talk about DeSean Jackson and whether or not I think he's going to end up playing this week. We got a little bit of a spicy take on Mike Mayock, and the Raiders actually worked out two receivers today. So let's get into it around OBJ. Odell Beckham obviously was released by the Cleveland Browns, and he hit waivers on today, I believe, right? Meaning a team could end up claiming him with a $7.25 million contract. The Raiders, well, they were 22nd on the waiver order, and all I kept hearing was, oh no, Raiders aren't going to get him. Raiders aren't going to be able to get him. Well, guess what? Nobody claimed Odell Beckham Jr. and his $7.25 million. So here's what's going to be happening. If the Raiders end up going out and getting OBJ, guys, I'm telling you right now, we're going to be making a video. We're going to be going live, and I don't want you to miss anything because this past, 7 days of being the Raiders Report host has just been an absolute whirlwind. If the last week isn't proof that you should subscribe and turn on your notifications, I don't know what I got to do. So hit the big red button and sub. So what are the chances that OBJ is coming to Sin City? So far, the fact that no NFL team has claimed him doesn't really surprise me. Las Vegas obviously has already signed DeSean Jackson, and there's been reports out there that the Raiders are actually a little bit nervous about going out and getting OBJ. Plus, some of the reports out there are that the number one team that he wants to go to is the Green Bay Packers. So what I thought about doing was like, all right, if I had to think about the top 5 teams most likely to go out and sign Odell Beckham Jr., here they are, and they're ranked. At number 5, I do have the Raiders at 5. Number 4 is the Seattle Seahawks because they've been looking for a receiver, and I do believe Pete Carroll's out there. New Orleans Saints, he's got the old connection, LSU. The Los Angeles Rams, they've been hella aggressive. And then, yeah, sure, at number 1, it's the Green Bay Packers. So here's the question that I want every single person that comes across this video, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching this a little bit later in the week. Should the Raiders sign Odell Beckham Jr.? I want you to go down in the comments, type OBJ for yes, or I want you to type no BJ for no. The Raiders did actually work out a former Cleveland Browns wide receiver. I thought about tweeting that out, and people would have been like, what? What happened? Former Cleveland Browns receiver? Yes, Jaelen Strong, not the guy you were thinking about. He was a third-round pick back in 2015. This is actually a receiver that Mike Mayock had very high words when he was first coming out of college out of Arizona State. 6'2", 217-pounder, very physical receiver. He honestly reminds me a lesser version of Laquan Treadwell, which, looking at that now, is probably even worse. But Jaelen Strong did work out with the Raiders today. But he wasn't the only one. Marquise Lee. So even though he hasn't played this season, and I actually really liked Lee when he first came out of USC, a lot of speed. The issue, also a lot of injuries. This tells me 2 things, the fact that they worked out both of those guys. 1, maybe 3. The Raiders are obviously somewhat interested in a wide receiver. They're still looking for another guy that can go ahead and stretch the field, and I do honestly believe that there is a chance that the Raiders go out and get OBJ. Now, the next player we're going to talk about is somebody that the Raiders have already got out and gotten. It's DeSean Jackson. Now, the update here is that the Raiders are going to give him $1 million for the rest of the season. I mean, I was trying to tell y'all for a very long time, the deal that DeSean Jackson is going to end up getting better bang for your buck than what OBJ would have gotten, obviously for $7.25 million. The way that this is going to work is this. He's basically a rental. Now, hopefully, the Raiders don't wreck him like Damon Arnette wrecked 4 of his rental cars, but you're going to keep him for the rest of the year, pay him $1 million, and then at the end of the year, see you, DeSean. Thanks for helping us out. But the question that I've been getting asked on Twitter, at Mitchell Renz 365, and on IG is Jackson going to end up playing this week? Well, I've talked to a few people. I'm going to go ahead and give this one 3 no Chucky heads, and I'm going to say that I believe that it's pretty likely. When Mayock and Versace both talked about Jackson, they seemed to be very energetic about him. They said that we're going to try to get him up to speed as quick as possible, and as moment the game ended, like, I actually heard from somebody that I trust inside the organization that said the Raiders actually knew that they had DeSean Jackson before the Giants game even started, and then as soon as the Giants game ended, he was allowed to announce it. He ends up announcing it. He's posting on Instagram. They already had his locker sorted out, so to me, this seemed like it was already in the works. Basically, what it's going to come down to for Jackson is, does he pass his COVID? Does he pass all his physicals? And if all of that is yes, I believe he's going to be suiting up for the very first time at Allegiant Stadium in silver and black up against Kansas City. Give me some FKCs. Now, as it stands right now, the Raiders' wide receiver depth chart, Bryan Edwards is the one, which, I'm going to be honest, this scares the hell out of me because Edwards could not get any separation, couldn't get open. Zay Jones is the 2. I have a lot of confidence in Renfrow, Dylan Stoner, DeSean Jackson. What you're hoping DeSean's going to be able to do is open up some of those passing lanes for more intermediate routes, whether it's Foster Moreau. Can my guy Foster please get some targets? Darren Waller's going to get some open up areas as well. You're hoping Hunter Renfrow, but especially Zay and especially Bryan Edwards, because what I learned from those two guys this past week, they kind of remind me of catch and shooter, like in NBA, when only certain guys can catch and shoot. Not everyone can create their own shot. That's the problem I think we're dealing with right now with Zay Jones and Bryan Edwards. I don't know if they can actually create their own separation. So here's my question for all y'all. I want you to give me a number, okay? If you can just pull one out. Yep, pull one out. How many snaps for DeSean Jackson this upcoming Sunday? It's a very difficult number to be able to put your finger on, but I need you to try to go ahead and put a finger on it. So how many snaps for Jackson this Sunday? And speaking of Sunday, we got a hell of a matchup, baby. It's Week 10, and anytime the Raiders are at home and they're underdogs, I kind of like take it to heart a little bit. I really, truly do. And last year I talked to a fan. He was like, man, I put down $100 on the Raiders to beat the Chiefs, and he made a shit ton of money. Now, you won't make that much money this time because the Chiefs, they're 2.5-point favorites. Last year they were like 12-point favorites. The total in this one, 51.5 points. If anybody wants to bet on the Raiders beating the Chiefs, one place to do it and one place only. That's at chatsports.com/Raiders. Use promo code Raiders125. It's going to get you 125% deposit bonus. Now, not only do I want you to bet on the Raiders, not only do I want to put some free money in your pocket, which, remember, you will get $125 for free to bet with, I want to put a Raiders jersey on your back. So, if you go to chatsports.com/Raiders, deposit $100, and then you're going to get $125 for free to bet with. Okay, you do that. You got that for first-time BetUS users. I'm also going to give you a free Raiders jersey. All you got to do is send me a screenshot of your account number. Send me a screenshot of the first bet you made at jersey@chatsports.com. If you're like me and you're kind of like, oh, squirrel, and all you heard was free jersey, email me. I'll give you the details, jersey@chatsports.com. Some other things that you guys can actually bet on as well. Are the Raiders going to win the AFC West? Are they going to make the playoffs? And speaking of the playoffs, I figured I would give you guys an updated look at the AFC playoff picture, where right now as it stands, the Raiders are the 5 seed after losing their game, and the reason why they're 5-3 and the Chargers are over them is because of the tiebreaker. Let's go back to week 4 where the Raiders lost 28-14. But guys, this is a really big game because if you lose to the Chiefs, now they also have a tiebreaker over you, and now you're starting to look in this picture where, okay, we might not be in the playoff window. But the fact that the AFC West has all 4 teams at 5 wins just goes to show, man, this is going to be one hell of a year, one hell of a season. And another reason to subscribe, I'm going to keep you guys up to date. Now, I know this is the Raiders show, and I already know most of the votes that are going to come in here are going to be for LV. But you know what? I like to see it anyway. Who's going to end up winning the AFC West? If you think it's the Broncos, type I'm a loser. If you think it's the Chiefs, type I'm a loser. If you think it's the Chargers, type I'm a loser. If you think it's going to end up being the Las Vegas Raiders, I want you to go ahead and type LV. Now, the next story we got coming up here, or my next rumor, is going to be around Mike Mayock. And is Mayock on the hot seat? And this was definitely a story that I've talked about before the season started, and it kind of got brought up again, and now it's red hot simply because of the whole Damon Arnette thing. That's everything that just went on the past day. But I'll tell you how hot his seat is. But first, I do want to give you guys a little bit of a reminder where you see these before. I got these no Chucky heads that keep popping up. Well, I'm trying to replace them, right? The Chucky head was created for John Gruden, and now I figured it's a good situation where I can put this into y'all's hands. So we have 4 things that we're going to be choosing from. Just Win Babies, Death Stars, Raider Shields, and Black Holes, because these are the 4 that made it through to the next round, round 2. If you want to vote on what's going to replace the Chucky head, I need you to go to Twitter. Need you to go to Instagram, get your votes in, and you only got 24 hours to do it, and by the time I'm recording this, you got even less time than that, and get your votes in. It's also going to be on YouTube community, and yeah, I think that's all of them. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube community. Go ahead, get your votes in. Mitchell Renz, 365. So is Mike Mayock on the hot seat? This one's for no Chucky heads, believe it, baby. Since Mike Mayock was hired in 2019, we have to realize this. The Raiders draft picks have been an absolute disaster. Mayock has to know that he's on the hot seat. Hell, he talked a few weeks ago on a podcast and literally said, well, I could end up sitting next to you if I don't get it together and the Raiders don't make the playoffs. So he acknowledges the fact that the Raiders need to start winning games. But the biggest reason why Mike was brought in, he was a draft guru. So if the draft picks that we're going out and getting are absolute just shit shows at this point, then yes, I am going to point my finger. I'm going to say it's Mayock. But the last thing that just happened here with Arnette, the fact that he was released, the fact that you spent a number 19 overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft, that's a bad look. But on top of that, Mayock had this to say about drafting Damon Arnette. We did more research on Arnette than anybody else since I have been here, and we missed. And that is 100% on me. Well, here's my response to that, Mayock. I'm sorry, your research then must just absolutely suck, because I can't find a single person out there that thought Damon Arnette was a first-round talent. I mean, we had him graded as a fourth-round talent here at Chat Sports, the highest, and I went back and I looked at him because I'm like, where the hell is he seeing this? Nobody had him in the first round. Hell, people didn't even have him in the second round. So, like, when I really think about this, and I get it, people are going to put a lot of blame on Damon for being a bust, but was Damon a bust in the first round? Yes. It's also not his fault he was drafted in the first round. Was it his fault he was lazy and cared more about being a rapper than an NFL player? Yes, absolutely. But there is too much analysis to make that bad of a pick. What it really sounds like to me is John Gruden and Mike Mayock are a bunch of boomers, and they don't want to just go ahead and look at the analytics. They don't want to go out and look at other people's 2 cents. All they care about is their eyes, and they're like, just kind of sitting there like, oh yeah, I can watch that guy, and he's pretty good. But if you can honestly sit here and say that you did more work on him than anybody else, and you honestly watch the tape, if you turn on Damon Arnette's tape at Ohio State, and if you watch that for more than 10 minutes, you can easily see that he was never going to be worth a first-round pick. So the fact that you're sitting here telling me that, yeah, that's on us, and that you did all that research and you still made the pick knowing all the background shit that was going on around Damon, shame on you. Like, I don't know if I have confidence in you then being a draft guru or going forward and making a pick for us. Whew. So is Mike Mayock on the hot seat? I want you to give me a Y for yes, or I want you to type and for no. Please let me know down in the comments section. Now, when you look at some of these draft capital, or I should say, since Mayock came in, some of these draft classes, Cleveland Ferrell, waste of a number 4 overall pick. Josh Jacobs, love the back, a lot of injuries, and running back's probably the easiest position to replace. Jonathan Abram, good, not worth the first-round pick. Molin's been solid. Luckily, you had Max Crosby because he's been the absolute steal of probably the last 3 drafts. Isaiah Johnson, not on the team. Foss Moreau, good tight end. Hunter Renfrow, very good slot receiver. Quentin Bell, not on the team anymore. What about 2020 draft? Henry Ruggs, he's in prison, which I will say this, I will not blame the Henry Ruggs pick on Mayock because I really think Ruggs would have transcended the right way. However, Damon Arnette, absolutely waste of a pick. Lynn Bowden Jr., traded before he even had an opportunity to play with the Raiders. Brian Edwards is a wide receiver too. Tanner Muse, traded before ever playing with the team. John Simpson is probably a backup guard at best. And then Amik Robertson has played 169 snaps in total. Well, what about this year's draft class? I've been a little bit more impressed from what I've seen out of Alex Leatherwood. He's definitely gotten better, but still don't know if he's been worth a first-round pick, but I still will be patient because Colt Miller worked out. I have liked what I've seen out of Merrick. We have yet to see what Malcolm Kuntz has done. We really haven't seen anything from Divine Diablo. Haven't really seen anything from Tyree Gillespie. Well, Nate Hobbs has been another absolute steal. And then Jimmy Morrissey, he's not even on the team anymore. So after seeing those last 3 drafts with our apparently a draft guru, I want you to grade the Raiders' past 3 drafts. A, it was amazing. B, it was good. C, it was average. D, it was bad. F, it was an absolute fail. I'm going to go ahead and give this a D grade. And the only reason that you're not getting a big old fat F is because Max Crosby, Hunter Renfrow, and Nate Hobbs. Those 3 players right there are absolutely saving you for getting a big fat F, because not only, I get it, finding diamonds in the rough is very important to be able to get forward and make it to the playoffs. But for you not to hit on a first-round pick, for you not to realistically hit on 3 first-round picks, 5 first-round picks, like Josh and Abram, they're good. But out of Clee, Henry, Damon, like the amount of money, the amount of resources, the amount of coaching that goes into all of those players, and for us to sit here and really wonder, was it worth it? That's just really, really bad to me, Mayock. So yes, I am absolutely saying he is on the hot seat. Does that mean I don't have confidence in him? No, that's not what I'm saying. Because I've also heard plenty of rumors out there that Mayock wanted CeeDee Lamb, and I believe that. I also believe that he wanted Jaylon Johnson instead of Damon Arnette. But the reason was because John Gruden wanted them. Well, guess what? Gruden's no longer in the picture here, which is where I'm going to be basically kind of going with this. Gruden picked the first-round players, and I've actually heard that from multiple people that I trust. I'm not going to sit here and say that he made all the picks, but if Gruden actually made all the first-round picks, then I'm glad he's gone because that man had no business making any more picks. So here's my last question on my whole Mayock tangent. We got 2,000 people watching this live right now. Should Mayock get one more chance to draft for the Raiders? This is a big-time draft. Why? You're also in Las Vegas. You're going to show the entire world what Vegas is all about. I want you to type 1 for yes, or I want you to type 0 for no.